stand before the glass, and the first thing that strikes you is not the size, though 14 feet of killing muscle is undeniable. It is the silence. A silence so heavy it seems to press against the vitreous fluid of your own eyes. Suspended in a minimalist steel tank, immersed in a solution of turquoise formaldehyde, hangs a tiger shark. Its mouth is open, not in a roar, but in a silent, jagged grimace that reveals rows of serrated teeth designed by evolution for one singular purpose: to sever flesh from bone. This is Damienhirst's The Physical Impossibility of Death in the Mind of Someone Living, and it is arguably the defining image of British art in the 1990s. Notice the color of the liquid. It isn't the deep, romantic blue of the ocean. It is a pale chemical cyan, the color of hospital corridors, of laboratory sterilization, of science trying to arrest the inevitable slide into decay. The shark floats in this artificial womb, caught in a permanent pause. Hirst has not carved this creature from marble or cast it in bronze. He has plucked a real, breathing engine of death from the coast of Australia and frozen it in time. This distinction is crucial. When you look at a painting of a skull by Cézanne or a sculpture of a martyr by Bernini, you're engaging with a representation, a metaphor constructed by human hands. Here, you are confronting the thing itself. The fear you feel, that primal reptilian twitch in your brainstem, is not an aesthetic reaction. It is a survival instinct. The title, verbose and almost academic, acts as a counterweight to the visceral horror of the carcass, the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living. It suggests a philosophical puzzle. Hirst is interrogating the cognitive dissonance we all carry, the intellectual knowledge that we will die versus the utter inability to truly imagine our own non-existence. The shark is the embodiment of that death, huge, undeniable, and physically present, yet it is contained, filtered through the safety of the gallery glass. We are the someone living in the title, circling the tank like curious fish, staring at the predator that can no longer bite. The genius of the piece lies in this tension between the sublime and the grotesque. The shark is beautiful. The light catches the roughness of its sandpaper skin, the dull opacity of its eyes. It possesses a terrifying elegance, yet it is also a corpse. It is dead meat in a box. By stripping away the environment of the ocean and placing the shark in the sterile context of a white cube gallery, Hirst forces a confrontation that is usually hidden away in funeral parlors or abattoirs. He demands that we look at the biological reality of death without blinking. There is no narrative here, no allegory of heroism or tragedy. There is only the physical fact of the end. The shark is a memento mori for a generation that thought it could live forever, a generation fueled by the boom and bust economics of the late 20th century. It stands as a monument to our desire to control the uncontrollable, to capture nature and hold it in a state of suspended animation, denying the one truth that governs us all, that eventually everything stops moving. But nature, it turns out, is not so easily arrested. The promise of immortality suspended in that blue tank was, chemically speaking, a lie. The shark that shocked the world in 1991, the icon of the young British artist's sensation, began to fail. The preservation process had been botched. The injection of formaldehyde was insufficient, the solution too weak to penetrate the deep muscle tissue of the massive predator. Slowly, inexorably, the shark began to rot from the inside out. The decay was gruesome. The pristine blue liquid grew murky and clouded, turning a sickly, swamp-like green as the shark's internal fluids leached into the tank. The majestic creature, once frozen in a terrifying lunge, began to sag. Its skin wrinkled and buckled. A fin fell off. The silent scream of the shark transformed into a slumping, decomposing whimper. The staff at the Saatchi Gallery, in a desperate bid to save the aesthetic, attempted a restoration in 1993 that only deepened the absurdity. They skinned the carcass and stretched the hide over a fiberglass mold. The result was disastrous. The terrifying reality of the beast was lost. It looked, in the words of critics and Hirst himself, like a prop from a bad horror movie. It looked fake. The visceral punch of the thing itself had been replaced by taxidermy. This biological failure ran parallel to the skyrocketing value of Hirst's brand. By 2004, the artwork, rotting guts and all, was sold to the American hedge fund manager Stephen A. Cohen for a reported $12 million. The price tag was as shocking as the shark itself. It marked a shift where the narrative of the art became inextricably linked to its market value. But Cohen had bought a collapsing asset. The physical vessel of the artwork was disintegrating. So, in 2006, a decision was made that would ripple through the philosophy of art history. Hirst didn't restore the shark. He didn't repair it. He simply ordered a new one. A call went out to fishermen in Queensland, Australia. Find another tiger shark, kill it, ship it. The original 1991 carcass was discarded, and a new, fresher, better shark was injected, this time with a stronger chemical cocktail, and placed into the original tank. The substitution is jarring. We are accustomed to art restoration being a delicate process of cleaning varnish or re-adhering flakes of paint. We do not accept the idea of replacing the Mona Lisa with a new woman who looks similar because the original got too old. But Hirst's shark challenges the very definition of authenticity in the contemporary era. It brings the logic of mass production and industrial replacement into the sacred space of the museum. The rotting nightmare was not just the decomposing fish, it was the realization that the object itself was disposable. The $12 million wasn't paid for a specific animal, it was paid for the concept, the brand, and the audacity of the gesture. The shark had become a widget in the high-stakes machine of the art market, where the maintenance of the asset's visual perfection superseded the integrity of its physical history. This brings us to the edge of a philosophical precipice, the paradox of the Ship of Theseus. Ancient Greek philosophers asked, if you replace every wooden plank of a ship, one by one, until no original timber remains, is it still the same ship? Damienhirst forces us to ask, if you replace the shark, is it still the physical impossibility of death in the mind of someone living? Hirst's answer is a cold, conceptual yes. To him, the shark is merely a vessel for the idea. The artwork is not the biological matter. The artwork is the intention. He argues that the original shark was a failure because it didn't look like a shark anymore. It looked like a decaying mess. To maintain the illusion of living, to maintain the impossibility of death, the physical object had to be sacrificed. In this view, the artist is a conductor and the materials are interchangeable players in the orchestra. If a violinist falls ill, you replace them to keep the symphony alive. However, there is a haunting melancholy in this exchange. By replacing the specific animal, Hirst erased the specific death that occurred in 1991. The specific history of that first creature is gone, replaced by a generic stand-in. It reflects a uniquely modern anxiety, the desire for an eternal, flawless present, scrubbed clean of the ravages of time. We live in an age of digital alteration, of plastic surgery, of endless updates. The new shark is perfectly preserved, a better version of death, sanitized for the collector's eye. It is an artwork that refuses to age, effectively cheating the very mortality it claims to represent. This saga echoes the broader context of the mid-2000s art boom, culminating in Hirst's beautiful Inside My Head Forever auction, which took place on the very day Lehman Brothers collapsed in 2008. The shark, like the market, was propped up by confidence and vast sums of capital. It became a symbol not just of death, but of the hubris of an era that believed value could be created out of thin air, or murky water. So when you look at the shark today, staring back at you with those lifeless, glassy eyes, what are you actually seeing? Are you seeing a profound meditation on the fragility of life? Or are you looking at a $12 million receipt for a taxidermy upgrade? Perhaps the true art is no longer the shark itself, but the story of its decay and replacement. The shark rotted, but the brand survived. In the end, Hirst proved his title wrong. Physical death is not impossible, it is inevitable. But in the strange, ruthless ecosystem of the art world, the idea and the price tag can live forever, swimming endlessly in a tank of blue denial. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the murky waters of art history, subscribe to Echoes of Modern. We have many more masterpieces to dissect, layer by layer.